So, the novelization of my experiences with Quentin Tarantino, it's all bullshit, right? I can't stress that enough, right? Right? There's no daughter, right? Anastasio never gave a fuck about me playing Hamlet, right? Eliza Anastasio doesn't give a fuck about playing Ophelia, right? That it was all a sick humiliation tactic, right? Right? It was all in an effort to make me lose my mind, right? To go ha 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 ha, right? And so now, right, it's my business to make sure that everyone understands that he exists in relation to me, right? That there's nothing else, right? There's nothing else, right? I tried to move on. I took my job. I was sorting trash, right? And he still thinks that this is funny. He still thinks that torturing me, right, is appropriate, right? That he's right. So he has $200 million, right? We live in a broke down, essentially ramshackle house, right? It's filled with love, right? But right, he has a beautiful family. He has all the money in the world, right? And so he could be focused on that, right? He could look his wife in the eye and say, "You're the most beautiful woman I'll ever know." Every time he wants to meditate on me and my evil. Instead, right, he conspires to compel me to madness, right? So that the world doesn't have to know, right? That there's an actor in the world that didn't bend to his psychic whim. He's a sick degenerate with a God complex, right? So the Burbank Film Festival is now in on the joke, right? Right? And so anyone who wants to help, right, every time you share these videos, right, it helps bring this to a logical conclusion, right? Every time you comment, it helps bring it to an amicable resolution, right? Nothing is real until I look someone in the eye, right? If it's not him, then it's W and me, right? If it's not them, then it's Anastasio or Fish. And if it's not them, right, it's David Berlinski and the Discovery Institute. And if it's not them, it's David Mamet, right? And if it's not them, it's Paul Schrader. And if it's not him, right, it's Martin Scorsese. And if it's not him, it's his daughter, right, Francesca Scorsese. And if it's not her, it's Anastasio's daughter, Eliza, right? Should I keep going, right? All these things that I've done, right, all that time on the street, right, was to show my remorse, right? And so now, right, you played your games, played your jokes, got me good, made me quit my job that was paying me a reasonable amount of money, got me to abandon my vehicle, right? Turned all of my heroes against me, right? For what? Why exactly did you do that? What? Because you can't control my mind? Right? It's pathetic. It's really sad. It's really sad how childish he is, right? And so when I say things, right, about someone being a fully fledged adult and having the mind of a 10-year-old, that's Quentin, right? That's right? Right? And so he directed the women in his life, right, to try to compel me, right, to touch myself, and he never really succeeded there, right? But he made me fall in love, right? Because my heart's always open, and I'm a trusting guy, right? So I didn't trust it, right? I didn't want to, right? I wanted to live in my fear, right? Even though I wasn't nervous at all, right? But Tribeca, that was my fault, right? Like that's not his fault, that's my fault, right? Like I made the choice, right? I opted out, I chose my side. Everything thereafter, right? What's occurring now, right? That's all Quentin, right? So I suppose I'll stop. This video's been quite long. The last thing that I'll say is that in reading my book, which I read a little bit from yesterday, I learned something about Shakespeare, actually. That the Romans had this idea, it was called augury, right? And so that is the cutting open of birds, right? And divining the future, right? Based on what's inside of them. Right? And so that, of course, made me think of Hamlet, right? Hamlet, at the end of the play, just before the sword fight, Horatio says, he says something to the effect of, "Oh, if you don't feel like you should do it, then you shouldn't do it, because you're going to lose." And Hamlet says, "Not a whit, we defy augury." Right? That's what he's talking about, right? There is special providence in the fall of a sparrow, right? Which tells you, right, that Shakespeare was a great scholar, right? Was not some redneck hillbilly from Stratford-upon-Avon, right? It was a man who not only knew how to read Latin, but that understood history. He knew the classics, forwards and backwards, right? So, right? See what's good in your life. Right? Know that life is not an accident. All instances of psychic phenomenon and clairvoyance derive from the mind of the adept tapping into the non-local conscious field which permeates all of space. The highest levels of said expression see the adept behaving like God. You can heal the sick and you can do your damnedest to destroy, which is far easier. So pray for me, pray for Quentin, pray to bring this to an amicable resolution. Uplift your soul to God. Like, comment, subscribe, share. All the best.